Hi, Peter. Thank you so much for being part of this event. And we're going to talk about syndromes today. And, one of the things I wanted to connect with you about is, this idea of the invisible, like where on one side, the individual experiences all these symptoms, all these mystery symptoms in which
Yeah,
a westernized doctor typically can't find the reason for.
that's right.
And
That's right.
so, yeah, tell us more about that.
Well, I'm just going to say these people are, usually referred to from physician to specialist to specialist to
Yeah.
specialist to specialist. And, I mean, you have to rule out any other possibilities. So it's not like wasted time, but it rarely takes care of the problem. So what happens, for example, if people have what we now call fibromyalgia, so they're referred to a rheumatologist, people who have migraines, neurologists, people who have irritable bowel, those kind of symptoms, they're referred to gastroenterologists. And again, rarely are they able to offer help because the core issue here is this inner loss of regulation, of dysregulation. And so in somatic experiencing, we really work to reestablish that inner balance. And in doing that, then those symptoms tend to abate. And, it's, and because it's so common, that's one of the reasons that's motivating me to do this class, because otherwise these people really don't get any help.
Yeah.
And especially working with people, like I mentioned, with long COVID, with post-COVID kinds of syndrome. And again, these are people who get no help at all.
Yeah.
And then you have the other people who have what is called chronic fatigue syndrome. Sometimes, oh gosh, what's the other one they call it?
Fibromyalgia.
No. So it sounds like it's a brain disease. Anyhow, anybody can look it up. Chronic fatigue dash myo something. Anyhow, forget it. But it's it's not a brain disease,
Yeah.
not a brain disorder, not in that sense at all. It is a disorder or a disordering of our inner regulatory mechanisms,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know. And so, if you have one cause of many symptoms, you might as well, instead of chasing the symptoms down, you might as well work with the underlying cause. And basically, that's been my approach, and especially working with people with post-COVID, because almost nothing is done to help them. Although, even though there's a ton of research, there's almost nothing in the way of a real understanding of what the problem is, what's causing the problem, and what to do about it. Um, and so where do we, Archimedes said, give me a place to put my lever and I'll move the world. And I think that's what we're looking for. We're looking for that lever.
Yeah.
And then also there are people who have had or been diagnosed or that they know that they have chronic fatigue, CFS, chronic fatigue syndrome, myalgia, anyhow.
One of those fancy neurological or fancy nervous
Exactly,
system.
which indicates that we know what the cause is, that it's a brain disorder. But again, it's not. It's not. And so, what do we do? How do we help these people?
Yeah.
And the tools that I've been developing in somatic experiencing are often quite effective for this. But again, we have to go very slowly because people who have these syndromes, these conditions, their nervous systems are already in a state of overwhelm. And so you definitely don't want to contribute to that.
Yeah.
So we have to titrate very carefully.
Yeah.
So instead of going into the trauma we might touch into a sensation related to the trauma and just touch into it and then move out, touch into it again and move out gently, delicately, until the energy that's locked in gets to be able to be resolved.
Yeah.
And then the person can restore to, to functioning.
Yeah.
So
it makes so much sense, Peter. When we talk about dysregulation or dysfunctional energy, and for those who are new to this field, it's basically essentially like we've surpassed our homeostatic baseline, the window to which we can be an optimal
that's right.
function of all of our oxygen, our cellular metabolism, all these things, and the energy expenditure that occurs when going outside of that. I mean, I've heard it posed two different ways. The energy expenditure that is required outside of that homeostasis causes symptoms other places. And I've also heard it that those symptoms, like fibromyalgia, like the digestive challenges, are just the body's alarm system to say, hey, you've actually surpassed your homeostatic window.
Yeah, the resilience is no longer operative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one of the things I've learned so much from you about SC is like, as we address the underlying issue as opposed to the symptoms, it restores enough energy in the body, functional energy, to start to also naturally heal or naturally resolve the alarm system or the symptoms.
That's right. It's tuning down the alarm system.
Yeah.
And so the body can come back into balance.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, not all the time, not 100% of the time, but very frequently, that really does the trick.
Yeah.
That brings people back to many, many different layers of balance.
Yeah. And for most people, there's kind of a gap here, which is they go, let's say they see a psychologist or they come and see an SE practitioner and they say, I have digestive issues. Now, it can be kind of a leap of faith or a gap of going, how do we get from the syndrome symptoms to actually touching into the underlying or root cause?
Curiosity.
Yeah.
Yeah. You work with the client until they start being curious about what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Are there certain things you notice, like at this point, having done this for so many years, that gives you a sense you're on the right direction?
Oh gosh. That's good. Yeah, actually, that's very interesting. That kind of is one of the things that basically motivated me to write an autobiography.
Oh yeah,
which is called An Autobiography of Trauma,
a
healing journey. It supposedly is going to be released in early April.
Amazing.
So I kind of got that one off my plate, because it really is, how did I develop this? I mean, people want to know that.
Yeah.
They also want to know some of the things that I've done with myself, with some of my students and so forth, that really have made a big difference in my own healing, my own life.
Yeah.
So I decided to write this. At first, it was only for me. I wasn't going to release it, through a publisher. I just didn't have the interest. I was scared, to tell you the truth. And but then I made that decision.
Yeah.
And it was not an easy decision. It was a difficult decision, but it also was a relief. Like, okay, I'm ready to let go of this. So, I mean, that's my other main project that's going on these days.
I hear that. I know it's been a big one for you. Are there, to go back to that particular question, are there particular guideposts, or is it an intuition that of like, oh, it feels like we're heading towards that core? Like, is there an internal beacon for you or something that is that?
I started with a quote:
Yeah.
"What is truer than truth?
Uh-huh.
Answer: the story."
Uh-huh.
So it really is my story.
Mm-hmm.
It's it's not a linear. It's not A goes to B, goes to C, goes to D. It's very much of a, we go in this direction and then go in that direction, and put things together while I'm doing it.
Yeah.
And it was quite a challenge. I mean, it really was quite a challenge. And as you know, I've written several books
Mm-hmm.
on trauma, but this was something that's really completely different. And yeah, yeah, it was very, very different. And it was something that I really didn't know if I would, like I said, if I would release it
Yeah.
as a book. I decided yes to do it because I think it will help people,
Yeah.
will support them in their own healing journeys and their own stories. So anyhow, that's what's taken a lot of my time.
Yeah.
The main writing is done. It's in the publishers. But still, at this point, I have to go back and forth with them. What do you mean in this paragraph? Are you saying that, this kind of thing? Then I have to figure out where different photos go.
Sure.
Melissa's going to be helping me with that. Yeah. And it'll go on for, a while. It's not something that you do it, it's over, you're done with it. But I was glad the person who's kind of the interlocutor between me and the company is a man named Richard Grossinger, one of the brightest people I know, very, very, very smart guy. And he was also one of the people really encouraging me to do this. And then he has an imprint along with Intertraditions, and Intertraditions is what I'm doing the book with. And so he's been really an important support for me. Laura Rigobuto, who was very much a support in editing, but in much more in challenging some of my thoughts. She thought that that I needed to really that I was confusing people about certain things.
What were you
And so
confusing?
then I have to think, oh yeah, okay, I think she has a point here.
Yeah.
So then I would, go over it together. And sometimes we would argue.
Yeah. The
But
creative process.
exactly. Exactly. So anyhow, uh, I wasn't completely done. I wanted to do some more on it. And then when Richard said, well, if you turn it in right now, you can get to to an earlier release 6 months earlier.
Uh-huh.
So it would be April versus June. And I actually found myself in terror, and really, really in terror. And in that moment,
Yeah.
I said, nope, that's it. I'm sending it in. I'm turning it in.
Yeah.
At later time, there'll be a revised edition, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But it's just time. I've been gestating it long enough. That's it. Time. Okay, off it goes.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've always appreciated your transparency and vulnerability, but I can only imagine the amount of people who look up to you, and to hear you say, like, it's scary and it's difficult, and it's such a challenging and
Yeah,
the process of writing and doing a book is intense, even after you've had
that's
major
right.
best-selling books.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, yeah. But I feel right about it. Feel right about it.
This one holds more of your own personal story, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But at the same time, guiding the reader toward their healing. It's not a self-help book
Mm-hmm.
in the normal sense.
Okay.
It's really some way to have all of those converge,
Mm-hmm.
interlock
Mm-hmm.
together.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know if I'd do it. And Richard also didn't know if I would do it.
Yeah.
And so after a while, I sent him one of the chapters,
Yeah.
and he said, "I never thought you could do it, but you're doing it."
Wow.
Yeah.
It's not,
So
yeah. I can't imagine it's easy to both share one's personal story and have it be a, a guide in some ways for people to do their own healing at the same time.
yeah, yeah.
That's
I
not,
mean, it's a delicate balance. It really
okay.
is a delicate balance.
Yeah.
And it's a challenge of doing something I've never done
Mm.
really. I mean, I've done little pieces of it,
Yeah.
like in an unspoken voice.
Yeah.
I mean, I talk about when I got hit by the car, so forth. But that's just, one little vignette.
Yeah.
This is like the whole trajectory of my life. So
Wow.
that's a little different.
Wow. Did you, in as you were talking about the trajectory of your book, just to tie it in, did you weave in some of this syndrome work that we were talking about earlier, or does that show? I know it shows up in other aspects, but I'm curious.
I don't think I did that explicitly.
Mm-hmm.
I at one thought talk about introducing the story of Nancy,
Mm-hmm.
but I've already had that in 2 books, so I don't want to bore people. So no, it's not specifically about syndromes,
Mm-hmm.
although I make certain mentions of it and about, core regulations. Yes,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's definitely not the main focus.
Mm-hmm. Um, I'm curious. We can keep chatting about this, but I'm also, you had mentioned some aspects of your work now with long COVID too. And it's an interesting time, Peter, with this because, just 2 weeks ago, the CDC was like, COVID's done. But for a lot of people, it's
It's
not
just
done.
beginning,
It's
just
just,
beginning. I
yeah,
mean, we're talking a minimum of 20 million people, probably at least another 10 or 20 more who, they don't have completely debilitation, but they haven't really recovered their life force.
yeah.
So, yeah,
So how do we even begin to navigate something that's such a biological trauma in this way?
right. I was reading, I've been doing a fair amount of research, just trying to find out what people are writing about, thinking about. And, there are many, many people, probably as many people as have long COVID, that have these conditions like fibromyalgia, irritable bowel, and chronic fatigue.
Yeah.
And, those people are often very angry at all the attention that the post-COVID sufferers are getting because, they just skip over them,
Mm.
because they don't really recognize that it's a similar thing. And there was one article that I found which was really quite wonderful. It was a quote from an
Immune
in
neurobiologist.
immunologist.
Oh, immunologist, yeah.
She wrote, "I would be so surprised if people with these who have these symptoms for a host of other different kinds of illnesses,
Yeah.
post-viral, there's post-viral, post-bacterial,
Yeah.
and I think that's the point. This is way before COVID, and of course there was the pandemic of 1918, or what was it, 1918? Anyhow, around that time. And again, those people, many of them never really recovered.
Yeah.
And, again, uh, labeling it is one thing, but then how do you actually treat it in a way that's, significantly effective? And so I've been doing things with some of the hospitals in Switzerland. I did one last year in the Graubünden area. And then I'm doing another one, a Steiner base hospital in Arlenheim, because I mean, if people are honest, they're knowing that they don't have any real way to help these people, and they're caring, and they absolutely see the suffering that's going on, and and they were really desperately want to find some way to help these people. And again, you have to work very delicately because you can easily overwhelm people with these kind of conditions. And I always, have follow-up. So I'll do it, and some of my students will be with me.
Mm-hmm.
And then after I do the session with one of the people who are suffering from long COVID, then they'll be able to get follow-up.
Mm.
So that's essential, to not just do it and then just see what happens.
Yeah.
You have to be really be, prepare and have this necessary follow-up.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm curious, in those sessions that you're doing in the hospitals or with individuals with long COVID, is there a way in which it feels different than other sessions for you?
Yeah, well, it is different than other sessions,
Yeah.
but is it different than, for example, for that people who have chronic fatigue
Yeah, that's
or generic chronic fatigue?
yeah.
And I think that it's 80% the same.
Okay.
20% there are differences.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think the research is being done on the differences, but not on the similarities.
Mm-hmm. What would you say are both the similarities and the differences?
Well, the similarities are that the vagus nerve is shut down.
Yeah.
The basic energy. And the difference is there seems to be more clotting involved with post-COVID, with COVID.
Oh yeah.
But how much is that also similar to people who have had these other like chronic fatigue things, post-viral things,
Mm-hmm.
because they haven't really made those measurements, so we don't really know.
Yeah, it's interesting.
So, but anyhow, just to be on the safe side, the Venn diagrams, they mostly overlap, but there's 20% that doesn't overlap.
Yeah.
And and I just do that to kind of play it safe.
It's a good plan. So
Yeah.
when you're doing these sessions, are you doing there's such a wide array of tools in SE, but I'm curious then, are you doing more vagal toning type work?
Do a lot of work. Actually, one of the articles is a group saying they said the problem is in vagal dysfunction.
Yeah.
And they don't know how much is functional. I think most of it, and how much is, like a thickening of the vagus nerve. And I think there may be some element to that. I mean, there's general inflammation with all of these kind of syndromes.
Yeah.
But I think they concluded that probably there's more functional than pathological. They call it pathophysiological.
Interesting. So I'm gonna have to do a bit more research on that, as like around the thickening of the nerve itself, or the myelin around it is.
Yes. Yeah. Again, I don't want to say that I have the answers, but my guess is that this isn't going to be the major component.
Yeah.
That the more functional issues, I think, are going to be more salient.
Yeah. I know that we have to wrap up. I'm curious if there's anything we kind of want to lead people with as a guide in terms of entering in. I know there's, first of all, curiosity as they enter into perhaps they know people, or they themselves have elements of chronic fatigue or these other syndromes, gastrointestinal issues that don't seem to be able to be placed. In addition to curiosity, are there any entry points you would kind of
hope and the possibility that something can be done, that it may not happen all at once,
but things
can be done,
Yeah.
and, help is available.
Yeah. I want to echo that for a moment, Peter. I think your work does exactly that. I mean, it's not easy to have hope when so many people have shrugged their shoulders and gone, you'll probably just have to live with it or whatnot. But to have
Right.
hope that there's actually an underlying causation that can be
Yeah.
attuned to.
And you want to get them to have curiosity about what that and the underlying mechanisms might be.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you so much, as
All
always,
right.
Peter.
Okay. Good,
Thank
good
you.
meeting you. And
Mhm.